I'm Vicki Hogarth, and welcome to Southwest Magazine. My guest today is renowned for her impressive acting career on hit shows like Bomb Girls and The Good Witch. But Karen Waddell is just as accomplished off-screen as a trauma-sensitive trained, certified mindfulness-based stress reduction teacher, trained at Brown University. She's also a mental health ambassador for the Sashbear Foundation and sits on the advisory council at CAMH. Karen teaches 8-week MBSR courses 3 times a year, including right here in St. Andrews. She's here today to tell us about MBSR and how it can improve our lives. Thank you so much, Karen, for sitting down with me again today.
It's such a pleasure to be here. Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about how an accident brought you into mindfulness and the practice of it.
Yes. Well, you mentioned that I was an actor. So life is pretty peachy being an actor. Everything was pretty good. And so it was about near the end of my 40s. We were taking the kids to soccer and a tournament. And on the way back, we were staying at the hotel. And one of those big old luggage racks, with the brass top, there was a kind of a windy day, and it started moving on its own, and we were looking at something at the back of the car, a punctured tire, and all of a sudden, bang, this heavy weight hit my head, and I went to the ground. And I don't know if it's a typical woman, but I got up, and everyone came around, and everyone said, "Are you okay?" And she would take you to the hospital, and I said, no, let's just get home. And Starbucks was right there. So just give me an ice pack. We'll put it on the head. And I got home, and I slept all night. One thing you shouldn't do is sleep all night. People should be checking on you. But when I woke up in the morning, something completely different happened to me. I couldn't talk. I was throwing up. Had all these strange symptoms, and what I found out was a major concussion or a mild traumatic brain injury. Actually, it turned out to be, and I ended up in Emerge that morning, not able to function. So my whole life kind of stopped. It actually stopped. Everything, all that peachiness, everything was changed because I couldn't concentrate. My emotions were all over the place. I couldn't memorize. And I ended up at a neurologist, and I was kind of given this diagnosis that I'm going to have to put up with this for the rest of my life, all these hidden symptoms that people can't see, which is like a lot of lights flashing in my eyes, pain, horrible pain. And pretty heavy doses of pain medication were coming with this. And I'd never taken an aspirin before in my life. So I kind of like snuck out of the neurologist's care and started to do a little investigation about how can I take care of myself. I just don't accept this. So I ended up in a bunch of alternative things, trying to calm the body up, because my body was traumatized, it was shaking, I couldn't even be touched. And eventually I found about a doctor in Toronto who had this course, Mindful-Based Stress Reduction. And I'd heard about it, and I heard that it might be good for chronic pain. I wasn't sure. I was very, very cynical because I was in a lot of pain. But I just thought, what have I got to lose? And I ended up going, and I said to her, I can't even sit for 5 minutes. You want me to meditate for 20 minutes? And but I ended up doing it, and it was 8 weeks. And not only did I start to manage my pain, there were so many other things that I started to learn that have transformed my life. My relationships, my relationship with my husband, my friends, everything started to unfold in a different way that I'd been working before. So there were so many benefits. And I think it's something to do with the fact, I caught on pretty quickly to the program. And I think it's got something to do with the step that I used to be an actress, so I know what it means to actually be in the present moment. And that's a big key to it. That's where the healing starts, in the present moment. It doesn't start 10 minutes ahead of yourself, 10 minutes behind you. It starts right here. So yeah, I was sitting meditating for 20, 40 minutes by the end of that course, and I took it 3 times, that course, because I couldn't believe it. And when everyone said you'll never get rid of the medications, So I took it, and it wasn't a fluke. It was just getting deeper and more interesting, and I thought, I really, really want to share this, and I want to know how to teach this. So I ended up in, and I wanted to find the home base of this, and this was in the States. It was with John Kabat-Zinn, who started this program 40 years ago, and he taught in University of Massachusetts Medical School. That's where he started the program. He was a doctor in this hospital, and so they accepted me. Actually, I went through a social work program to begin with because I knew that there will be referrals into this program from all kinds of walks of life, and then they accepted me into the teacher pathway for MBSR, and yeah, from there it was a lot of study, a lot of really in-depth study. It's not just from a book, it's actually living the life and cultivating mindfulness and awareness into your life. And so I ended up certifying at Brown University. So I'm capable now of teaching in, penitentiaries, hospitals, all over, yeah.
How does it differ from what people might already think of as meditation? What is specific about stress reduction mindfulness?
Well, the thing is that it's all kind of the same. Just we all have different doors that we walk into to experience meditation. You've heard of transcendental meditation, but that's using like a mantra. This kind of meditation is, and by the way, it has the same roots meditation as medicine. So it kind of approaches our health like the way medicine does. It diagnoses a problem, and then we learn how to look after ourselves and continue to look after ourselves. And that's what this program does. But it's looking at the whole person, right? Often when we think of ourselves, we think just in our heads, but we don't think about the body part. This meditation that I teach includes everything. So I know from experience and people that have worked with me that intelligence doesn't just reside in the head. In fact, sometimes that intelligence is not very practical. It can tell us things that maybe aren't true, or we've got to believe are true and not true. But if we actually listen to the body knows, because the body wants you to be well. The body says, you're not doing so well, Karen. You might want to change up this habit, or you might want to, eat different foods, or you might want to slow down. You might want to just take care of yourself. The body knows. And when you listen to it, then your resilience and everything else comes back. And then the body can do what it's meant to do, to keep you well. So when you're more in tune with the body, it will do it for you. And that's how I got well, because the body says, oh, you've slowed down, you're listening to me, you're giving me attention. This is how we're going to heal you now, Karen. Yeah? Okay.
So you work with
people. Does that answer your question? I hope so.
It does. Okay. I feel like my problem is being aware when I'm stressed out, and then my biggest fault is doing nothing about it.
Yeah.
I get it, I'm stressed, but I've got to keep going.
Yeah. But we normalize stress, right? We almost like honor it in a way like, are you busy? Are you busy? Great, you're being productive, you're doing stuff. But there's part of us, we're called human beings. And I think, yeah, there's part of us that does things, but we're also human beings. Maybe we should be sometimes, and that's non-doing, to get back into the doing. Anyway, sorry.
So you work with both groups and one-on-one.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about, does it differ much from going one-on-one with someone to how you would lead a group through stress reduction?
Well, people come to me privately because they have a specific issue that they want to work with. So we'll work with that specific issue, and it's still homogeneous because people that come to me have anxiety, they may have depression, they might have grief issues, might be midlife crisis, they might feel stuck. They might feel overwhelmed, or maybe they're quite sick. They've been diagnosed with something that they need some help healing with. In the classroom per se, you're not alone. You're with other people, and it's still a homogeneous classroom where all these kinds of modalities are in the classroom. But the common element is we're all suffering. we're all in a lot of pain somehow, and we're unable to know how to get out of it or to relieve it and get back on track to being the best person that we can possibly be. And there's something about being in the group, why people choose to do the MBSR course, because often what they're going through, someone else is going through, and it's a great support. And we don't fix anyone. It's not that kind of a class where we go, oh, I've got advice for you, I went through it. It's not that kind of class. I get people to tap into resources that they've forgotten that they have. And there's something more interesting about me not like telling you how to heal yourself, Vicki, even though, you know, I'm going, oh, I know what she needs, I know what she's going to take, rather than you figuring it out for yourself. It's much deeper and it's much stronger.
And we are going to do a little bit of that on today's show. I'm excited. I'm very excited, very stressed. Not about this, but just in general. So I'm curious.
I think, you know, one funny thing is that when people ask me what do you do, I say I'm a stress reduction teacher. It's like, oh, give me your card. Let's go.
We don't have enough time in this show, but let's try. How do you start when you're helping someone through this? What would be my first step, for instance?
Yeah. Well, have you ever meditated before? You tried it before?
I have tried.
Okay. So through an app or?
I have tried on my own. In group settings, I've gone to meditation classes. At different times in my life, I've been better at it. I do it here more on my own with nature. I like going to the beach. I find silence can be overwhelming, but I think I need to get used to that, maybe. I find when I fall asleep at night, that's when the stress hits me, when my brain's still very active. And then I start thinking about what's not done or what I have to do or what's ahead, and I get overwhelmed, and I don't know how to turn that part of my brain off at night. And then I think when I am stressed, I'd rather just do stuff to get things done, and I don't know if that's healthy either.
Yeah. Well, two things is that we can never shut the brain off. Okay, that's one thing I tell people right away. I'm not going to make you an empty vessel in any way. So we're just going to learn to work with the brain and actually learn from what is your mind on all the time. That'll tell you something, just like the way the body tells you what's wrong with you. The mind's going to tell you what you're stuck on, what narrative you're stuck on. And it's interesting that you say when you go to bed at night, you're trying to sleep, and all of a sudden the stress rises up for you, right? Well, that's because all day long, whether you're in the studio or whatever you're doing with Maud or whatever, you have distractions. You know, you've got your phone or whatever it is, you know, you've got an agenda you have to fill out. So you're never really listening to what's going on in the mind. But as soon as you get quiet, oh my gosh, like there's so much happening there. And so you're just hearing what you didn't hear before. Okay, so that's what I just wanted to say about that. So how I start with people, especially people who've never meditated before, I start really easy. One of the ways to sort of calm the nervous system down, which is what I do basically, I calm the nervous system down. So you don't feel you're in a defense mode. I'm sure you've heard of fight or flight. You're not feeling you have to defend anything, you don't have to run. You're just in a place of calm and peace, ease. It's not in your mind because the mind doesn't like to be here. The mind hates being present. It wants to be like, you know, this morning's conversation, this morning's, the afternoon's activities coming up. But if you got right here, basically it's okay right now. So what's right here is I bring people with their senses to be right here, okay? So, you know, when you see something, you're seeing it right now. When you taste something, you're tasting it right now. When you feel something, you're feeling something right now. So just as an exercise, let's just go to sight, okay? So you don't have to close your eyes for this. And so you know this studio really well, okay? So I'm going to just sort of take you through how to sort of see this studio for the first time. I'm going to call it beginner's mind. Let's pretend you came in here for the first time. So, first of all, let's just take a deep breath to, this just calms the nervous system a little bit too. Take a nice deep breath into the body. This is a deliberate breath. And if you can't take one breath, that's okay. Fill it up with 2 breaths. Do you get a little fuller than you usually are? And then the trick is to go slower on the out breath. So doubly slow if you can, but at least slower than the in breath. You can do as many of those as you like, but eventually you'll come back to normal breath and you're just sitting here. So you're just being here. You're not doing anything other than opening your eyes and to see something for the very first time. You might be seeing colors. I'm going to do this exercise with you too because I love it. It settles me as well. So let's say, like I'm seeing a green curtain over there. I'm seeing green leaves. But it's not just green. I'm seeing multiple colors within that green. So if you were to pick a color in whatever site you have, don't whitewash it with like, oh, this is just brown. Mm-hmm. See if you can see deeper within that. It may be a combination of 2 or 3 colors.
I'm looking at the painting,
mm-hmm.
and it's blues, greens, whites, but I also see black, like the ocean when you have parts of it that really, I don't know if it's just a lack of sunlight. Gray, even almost like a moss color.
Mm-hmm. So water isn't just blue, right? You're noticing in an exquisite way all the nuances of water, and this is obviously some sort of turbulent water in some way. So through sight, we also see texture. You can pick something in the room and like see the texture for the first time. Is it rough? Is it smooth? So I'm looking at a brick right now. I'm seeing, there's the light is hitting different parts of that brick in a certain way.
I'm looking at driftwood that has some smoothness, but also some splintery edges, some sharp cuts from the carpenter, obviously.
And that's another thing. That's an assumption, right? Mm. What if you were just the direct looking of it? That you don't have to, this is what I mean, I don't want you to work, I don't need you to analyze or anything right now. All you have to do is just simply look, almost like a scientist. This is the way I tell people, when you just look, I have an experiment here, I'm supposed to report on that particular object. It's square, it's rectangular, it has a certain texture, so I can take it back and go, this is what I found today. So this is interesting that a bias came on there about, I think a carpenter cut that, right? I mean, this is an assumption, right? But assumptions can get us into trouble sometimes because it's not necessarily truth. It might be true, but we're not sure, right? But if you were just to look at it for what it is, this is what I'm seeing right now. Things come in shapes. You might see something in this room that you never noticed. Oh, there's lots of rectangle shapes, or there's round shapes, there's triangle shapes that I never noticed before. Things come in certain shapes, right? And when you look around too, I mean, maybe not here, maybe if we're outside, sometimes things are changing. Maybe light is changing, I don't know. Is light changing in here? Like for a minute it was light, it was not so dark. You might be noticing shadows, that wall is, some of it is receiving light and some of it is not receiving light. So just a direct experience of that, right?
I mean, this room changes depending on whether we're filming or not, so it is kind of cool to notice the set lights create a different
maybe
drama.
Somebody put something in a different place today that you didn't notice. So this is just an example of like seeing something, really seeing it for the sake of seeing it. All right? So it's an exquisite kind of looking. It's not a normal kind of, oh yeah, we're in a studio.
Reminds me of kind of like Impressionist painters and how they tried to take away all preconceptions of what things are and paint as if they've never seen before.
Exactly.
So getting into that Monet frame of mind, I guess I'll call it.
Yeah, because you never know. We really don't know. We don't have a crystal ball to know how things are going to play out, right? So, but just even that, how did that feel even just to be here in that moment, rather than not thinking about the next question for me? You know what I mean? Like, how did it feel?
I think, it's easy to just disregard your present totally because you think you know it and it's fine and not to even appreciate it. So, it's weird. We don't take enough time to... I think sometimes here I try to ignore things too when the studio's a mess. But it's nice to actually look around.
And I'm going to take you through I talked about sight, right? I mean, sight. Now we're going to talk about touch or just feeling. What can you feel for the first time? Now, are you comfortable, Vicki, if I ask you to close your eyes?
Oh, yes.
Okay. So again, we'll take a nice breath in, and I'm going to get you just to hold your arms with your hands up into the air. So like your palms are facing the bottom. You don't know, you can't see them. But I'm going to ask you, Vicki, how do you know you even have hands at the end of your arms or on your body? How do you even know? Without looking at them. Are you feeling something in your hands?
I I'm not feeling anything. Feel my muscles move. Feel a little bit of a breeze.
And point your fingers towards the ceiling, and the palms towards your body. Do you feel anything like a tingling in the hands at all? Do you feel a throbbing or a pulsing? And this is not like thinking about it. I want you to just absolutely feel directly. What are you feeling that tells you you have alive hands in front of you?
I feel, is it sad that I'm getting this one arthritic finger, and I always feel that.
Okay, so rather than calling it arthritic finger, you might have ideas or biases about that, but how does arthritis feel? How would you describe it?
It's new. I find it frustrating. This is the stress case in me coming out.
Okay, so that's thoughts about it.
Yeah.
How does it actually feel? Is there a sharpness to it? Is there a dullness to it? Is there a throbbing to it?
It's a limitingness. It's a limitation to it, what it used to be.
Does it feel numb?
Feels more like it needs to be almost ironed out. It feels like it's kind of...
So it feels crumpled?
It feels...
Is that a good word?
A little bit like it's sticking, if that makes sense.
Sticking. Okay, is that within it or outside of it?
Within.
Within. And what finger is it present?
This one.
Don't even tell me. You tell me, is it your pinky?
My pinky.
Your pinky. Okay, on your left hand or your right hand?
My right hand.
Ah, that's being very specific. Okay. Any other fingers? Because your body speaks to you to let you know you're alive. Your body speaks to you in the language of sensations. And it's very direct. Like, it's not whether I like the sensations or not like the sensations. I just want to know what's happening in my hands and that I have hands right now. There's signs of life with the language of sensations.
I'm a lefty,
Yes.
so I actually really enjoy sensations in hands because my right hand's actually quite strong too, just because lefties kind of grow up using both just because of the world we live in. So I always find it interesting sometimes when I realize I'm not using my dominant hand. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah.
Do you feel a difference between your right hand and your left hand in terms of the strength of sensations you're feeling in your hands?
My left hand's always a bit stronger, but
But today, is it? Right now, we're talking about right now, presently, right now. What do you feel right now? Not what happened yesterday or a month ago.
No, they're both starting to relax a bit, even though they might seem like they're not in a relaxed position. They're sort of taking on their own form right now, which is probably looks crazy.
Do you feel temperature? Do you feel heat or coldness?
I feel a little bit of heat because we're pointed up towards lights that are not exactly the sun, but
you don't know
like
that.
It.
You don't know that, but just exactly what's happening in your hands because your eyes are closed. You feel heat, so you're feeling it at the tips of your fingers, right? Or maybe not. Yeah? Just exactly where you're feeling it. What about wetness or dryness? Do you feel that?
I feel it's mostly dry.
Okay. Yeah. And mostly you say, is it like dry at the fingertips, dry at the palms?
Dry. It's probably most moist in my palm.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Thank you for doing that. And I hope that they did it at home as well while we were doing it, to actually feel it. Because meditation, I love saying this, is not what you think. It's not what you think. It's what you feel, which is really different, and that gets you out of your head. Now, do you tell me, did you feel like you got out of the head the more I directed you specifically to what I want you to look for? Like an observation, right?
Yeah. And I think sometimes we push our physical aside, you know, especially if we're tired. That's the first thing we don't listen to when we're tired, but we've got stuff to do. That doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And it's easy to not take time to appreciate just being in your own body. I notice it in my dog. She always tells me when she's hungry, when she's tired, when she wants to go outside.
Yeah.
And I start thinking maybe I should take a few lessons from her because I don't listen.
Yeah.
But seeing how she listens, I realize it's maybe something I need to practice more.
Yeah. And thank you. Practice. This might seem really difficult at first if you're not used to getting below the chin, below the neck into the body. But the more you practice, I get going to the gym, and when you get into more serious meditation, that's going to come into play, because you'll be able, when you find the mind is taking you a place that's causing you a lot of pain and a lot of suffering, you'll be able to just quietly just let go and go, what's happening in the body right now? What's happening in my hands right now? What's happening in my feet right now? Or even in my breath, how do I know I'm breathing right now? Not whether I've got a bad breath or a good breath. No, there's no right or wrong, just I want to have awareness that I am breathing. Oh yeah, it's short breath, it's a deep breath, it's a shallow breath, whatever. But that's what kind of basically we're doing in meditation, is bringing awareness to the present moment. There's a definition, a working definition I like to use. It's coming to the present moment purposefully, and noticing the awareness that arises when we come to the present moment, but non-judgmentally. All right, so there's no like I heard it come out in you a little, and that's okay, you know, because I don't want you to be judgy about the judgment, but about, oh, my hands, you know. But when we come non-judgmentally, we actually see things for what they are. And the end part of this is come with a sort of attitude of compassion, kindness, and friendliness. What a difference that makes. That's kind of like the sauce in the meditation, that whatever I find, that I come with it with a loving kind of a kindness to myself. And then there's an opportunity to learn more and help yourself and take care of yourself.
I truly appreciate you being here today, Karen, and I can't wait to have you back to discuss this more.
I'd love to.
My guest today has been Karen Waddell, a mindfulness-based stress reduction certified teacher who is currently offering a course. You can find more information at mindfulnessdimensions.com. I'm Vicki Hogarth. Thank you for watching Southwest Magazine.
Southwest Magazine is a news and public affairs production of CHCO Television.